welcome back to the Bass Tutor. My name is Tyler Fry, and I'm the Bass Tutor. With spring right around the corner and a ton of the lakes around the country all muddied up from all this rain and all this wind, I wanted to go over my top 5 favorite muddy water baits. You know, these baits are going to work all the way through pre-spawn, spawning, and post-spawn baits. You know, they're going to keep working all throughout the spring, basically. So I wanted to make this video to help you all out in your tournament success and hopefully just any time you go fishing. So the first thing that I'm going to pick up if it's muddy water is going to be a spinnerbait. You know, throughout the past couple of years, a lot of people just let the spinnerbait go by the wayside, but it's really starting to pick up again. And I never really understood why people stopped throwing it. I guess because of the chatterbait coming in, but to me, the spinnerbait and the chatterbait are both tools in my arsenal, okay? You know, a carpenter isn't just going to use a hammer versus a screwdriver, you know? There's a place for both of them, just like the spinnerbait. And we're going to kind of go over that a little bit later in the video. But for right now, the first bait I'm going to throw is going to be a spinnerbait. And the first thing you need to decide on is which type of blade you want to throw. The two that I stick between is usually a Colorado and a willow leaf blade. So if the visibility is basically zero, you know, it's mud, I'm going to throw this Colorado blade. That thing is going to be a little bit more circular. It's going to have a lot of thump to it. And it's really going to displace a lot of water, enticing those fish to bite. And I'm going to give you a key little tip right here that we'll go over later. Not in this video. Maybe never. Depends on if I ever want to talk about it. That's all you got to say about that. And the second type is a willow leaf blade. I'm going to throw this if there's a little bit more visibility. And really, the difference between the color blades and the shinier blades for me is really going to dictate on the water clarity as well. And I'm going to go over that in a spinnerbait video that I'll do a breakdown of a little bit later on. But for right now, if the water's really dirty, I'm going to try these color blades. And if that's not working, you can switch to the shinier blades. But predominantly, I'm going to throw these. And color-wise, a lot of people really struggle to decide whether to throw black and blue or chartreuse. The way I've determined to break it down for me is if it's overcast skies, muddy water, throw that black and blue, okay? Black and blue's just got a little bit darker profile, and I know those fish can see it. If it's sunny, that chartreuse and white, or just chartreuse, is going to put off a whole lot of shine. It's going to put off a lot of glare in the water, and it's going to entice a lot of those bites. Now, is this plan foolproof? No, it's not. But you just have to dictate, try it around, and that's really the basis that I go off of whenever I come to a lake. So the second type of bait, it goes back into the tool preference, is a chatterbait. If I'm fishing around a ton of grass, I'm not going to try and throw that spinnerbait. I don't feel like sitting there trying to rip it, yank it through there, get it to spin, all that. It's not worth it to me. I'm going to throw this chatterbait. I know the chatterbait's going to come through the grass. It's another tool in my arsenal. And it's my second bait on my favorite lures to throw whenever the water's muddy. The 3 colors I keep it between, it's really simple: chartreuse and white, white and black and blue. And the same rules apply basically with the spinnerbait. If it's darker water, but the sun is up, I'm going to throw the chartreuse and white. If it's really not too muddy, but there is quite a bit of stain to it, I'm going to try this white one. It's going to imitate a shad better. It's going to go through there, get through the cover, and you're going to be good to go. But if the water is really dirty and it's overcast skies, throw the black and blue. That's basically as simple as I keep it with chatterbaits. And the third category is going to be crankbaits. Now, I'm going to throw both round bills, regular old, just normal crankbaits, and I'm going to throw a square bill. If there's a ton of wood and the fish are up shallower, I'm going to throw this square bill. It's going to bounce off cover really well. It's going to get through about everything I can throw it into. It's like the bulldozer of crankbaits. But if I'm fishing a little bit deeper lakes, or the fish are in that 8 to 10, 12 foot range, I'm going to throw a crankbait like this one. This one's actually a Strike King tight wobble or crankbait. This thing doesn't have a real wide wobble to it, but a lot of the times whenever that water is still a little bit cooler, they're going to bite this one just a little bit better. So you're really going to just have to decide. With crankbaits, I keep it pretty simple too. If it's sunny outside, I'm going to throw the chartreuse crankbait. If it's darker water and it's overcast skies, throw the red crankbait. They're both going to do phenomenal. Switch around, try different things out, but that's really the two that I begin with to see what they're wanting. The fourth bait in the category is really going to go back to, just like I said earlier, the tool category. You know, the spinnerbait and the chatterbait have their own different places. The square bill and the lipless crankbait, they're going to have their own place. You're not going to throw a square bill in grass that's topping out 4 or 5 inches above the water. That's just not going to happen. You're going to throw this lipless crankbait. You're going to be able to rip that thing through the grass. You're going to be able to entice those fish, and you're really going to be able to get a reaction strike a lot of times. The biggest key that I have with a lipless crankbait is put your butt of your rod behind the forearm of your arm and just yank it. That pressure right there is going to make a lot more leverage for you to rip that crankbait out of the grass, and it's going to come up and do wonders coming through the grass, really. Throw it on a heavier action rod if you can. If the grass isn't too thick, throw it on a medium heavy. It's not that big of a deal. If there's no grass at all, throw it on a medium action rod. Yeah, I said if there's no grass. You can get just as many bites on a lipless in places that there's no grass as you can with places that there are. But the same rules apply whenever it's sunny outside, throw the chartreuse. And whenever it's overcast skies, throw the red. Try them both. And I think a lot of times you'll be surprised at what colors work and how simple you can keep it with crankbaits. And that's really how simple I keep it from the beginning, is just trying to figure out what they're wanting that day. So the final bait is going to be if those fish are real pressured. If they're real slow, they're real lethargic, they just don't feel like moving. Or if you just like throwing that jig around a lot of heavy cover, throw a black and blue jig. It's tried and true. It's proven to work. It's won countless tournaments around the nation. And they just continue to prove to be a wonderful bait. This one right here is a Strike King. It's got a rattle in it. It's got that big black and blue skirt on it. And I have a Zoom chunk craw on here. That thing's going to have a huge profile in the water. And those fish are going to see it bouncing around, hear it making noise. They're going to look at it. They're going to go to it. More than likely, they're going to bite that thing. And then the second bait right here, if the fish have pulled off a little bit deeper, you're fishing a lot of rock and stuff like that, throw one with a big football head jig, you know, just dragging it. This one actually has a chigger craw on it from Berkeley. It doesn't have a ton of action, but it's got a lot of water displacement to it. So just decide whether you're going to flip around cover, so you can use this more of a pointy type head, or if you're going to fish deeper around a lot of rocks, throw this football head. So guys, I hope this helps. That's really my top 5 favorite baits. And so I hope y'all get out there on the water, catch a fish, and don't forget to wet a line. We'll see you guys later.